You want to talk about waking up to an almighty shock? Well, on the day of this video's creation, I woke up to the hugely surprising news that Nate Diaz's self-imposed hiatus will come to its end in just over 6 weeks, with him now set to take on the top welterweight contender Leon Edwards at UFC 262. Not only does this seem like a major U-turn, given Nate's constant struggles with the promotion at the negotiation table, but given Diaz's long absence from the sport, seeing him return to face off against a top welterweight contender is definitely something of an unexpected turn of events. So let's dive into the matchup, what it means for the landscape of the 170-pound division, and perhaps at the end of the video I'll give an early prediction on its eventual outcome. Leon Edwards, of course, was pretty unlucky in his last outing against Belal Muhammad. Say what you want about the eye poke that caused the fight's stoppage. To return after 2 years out, already feeling like you've been disrespected by the masses, and for your comeback fight to eventually breed a narrative that could see you pinned as the bad guy, yeah, that's pretty rough. Edwards committed the foul, sure, but all in all, these things happen in mixed martial arts, and while Leon remains a hugely underrated talent, he still has his work cut out for him if he hopes to endear himself to the fans. So what exactly are we looking at with this fight's booking? Well, for Nate, I honestly did not predict that we'd be seeing him compete in the opening half of 2021. Now, of course, I outlined my thoughts on the current saga surrounding his inactivity of late in a previous video, and based on what he said about his relationship with the UFC, I thought we were going to get that interview with Ariel Helwani, and then a long period of radio silence, as a consequence of the talks between both parties breaking down. Nate said he wanted to compete 2 to 4 times this year, and at the time, it was easy to shrug off that notion. But now that we're here and Nate is actually taking on a contender who ultimately won't serve as the A side in their dynamic, it's a pretty good sign, as far as his overall intentions for 2021 are concerned. Because love him or hate him, the fight game is just a lot more fun when Nate Diaz is a part of it. I don't know what Nate's intentions are as far as climbing towards the top of the 170-pound division, and it must be noted that most of his run at welterweight in recent years, with the exception of the Masvidal fight, have come against lightweights who were testing the welterweight waters, 2 against Conor McGregor and 1 against Anthony Pettis. For Edwards, this is a dream matchup, one that in all honesty, based on his activity and Nate's name value, is almost worth the wait that it took to get. It has been an understandably frustrating time for Edwards of late, but a lot can change in one fight, and like all rising contenders, getting some name value on your resume prior to getting a title shot is a major win. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep the MMA dive train moving ahead. So with an eye on the rest of the welterweight division and the pieces that are moving, should we look at this fight as a #1 contender bout? I mean, look, with Colby Covington and Gilbert Burns still in play without scheduled opponents, and the belt to be contested between Usman and Masvidal, anything is possible. But once again, after the Khamzat Chimaev fight finally lost its legs, Edwards has been set up against another unranked opponent. So should we take this as the UFC devaluing a win over their #3 ranked contender? Or say, if Nate does in fact pull off the upset, will that be enough to see him fight for the belt? Well, I think that Diaz beating Edwards does a lot more for his hopes of earning a title shot than Edwards beating Diaz does for his. Obviously, with Nate being the unranked fighter, that would make sense. But for Leon, it's a big name, it's great exposure, and while an impressive win in dominant fashion may well nab him a crack at the title, in my eyes, it will have to be a star-making performance. So how do I see this fight going down? Well, to put it lightly, this one is a tough ask of Nate Diaz. Leon is a slick operator in every sense of the word, subtly brilliant across all aspects of the MMA skill set. For him, I think his well-roundedness and high fight IQ will allow him and his team to devise and eventually execute the perfect game plan to take out this great veteran. Nate is a dog in there, of that there is no doubt. And in any 5-round fight, I would back his pace and pressure to be a factor no matter how bleak the outlook is early on. But Edwards isn't a power puncher per se, and depending on how you look at things, that may work in his favor or against him. If he can't keep Diaz off of him, Nate's boxing and constant high work rate will likely serve up his best path to victory. However, if Edwards can get comfortable in the striking range and set a pace that allows him to keep Nate's pressure at bay, I can see him taking home a dominant set of scorecards from the judges. Diaz's submission game, though revered, might not even come into play at all if Edwards can begin to establish control early. I'll never say that any fight including Nate is destined to be boring, and I am not certain that this one will be, but a part of me can envisage a situation where Edwards simply outpoints Diaz over the course of the 5 rounds with little to no resistance. This is a natural welterweight, lest we forget, and though he's not known for his one-hitter quitter power, Nate, as we all know, has taken a boatload of damage over the years. I'm not going to tie myself to a TKO prediction, but if I were, I'd place it in and around the 4th and 5th rounds. But as far as how I see this one going, yeah, I do think this is Leon's fight to lose. He's just far more polished, a lot more well-rounded, and overall a smarter and more modern fighter than Nate. If Diaz comes in peak shape, I would not rule out the upset at all. But even with that being said, if Nate's miles on the engine start to show, a top-level 170-pound fighter would be the perfect man to exploit that. I'm taking Edwards by a comfortable margin on the scorecards. heads, folks. But what do you think of the decision to turn Edwards around quickly for a showdown against the superstar Nate Diaz? And over the course of the scheduled 5 rounds, who do you think will be able to take home the victory? Do let us know in the comments section below. Let's get a discussion going. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a comment before subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.